The fatal flaw in Blake Lively's case against Justin Baldoni in Wayfair was just discovered, and it will completely dismantle, if not outright dismiss, her entire case. You guys are incredible. And the reason why you're incredible is because on a video yesterday, I was going through the comments and one of you said, Melanie, you must go right now to Without a Crystal Ball's channel and look at the video she just did. It is the smoking gun. It is the fatal flaw in Blake Lively's case and completely dismantles it. Now, I have seen a couple of her videos on this case. She is not an attorney, but she has an incredible knowledge of the law and breaks it down in a way that the average person like you and I can understand. Let me just say, this is above my pay grade, way above my pay grade. But when I tell you this blew my mind so much, I must have watched this video 6 times yesterday just to capture everything that she was saying. And then with the help of Grok, I was able to kind of formulate this into what I would say bullet points to make this digestible to share with you guys. Now, I will be linking her original video below. Once you're done with this video, please go over to hers because she breaks it down even more and because she just has a deep knowledge of it. It is excellent work. I haven't seen anything like it. So again, hats off to her. I must give her her flowers. So thank you, Without a Crystal Ball, for helping us out. And there's actually more information that even people in the comments left that I'm going to bring up in a subsequent video. And then also, guess who blocked me last night? And my feelings are hurt. Deadpool himself. Yes, y'all. Ryan Reynolds has blocked me. Yes, Mr. Justin Baldoni is thin-skinned and not man enough. And Justin's a predator and all of these things, and that he just can't sue over hurt feelings. Well, it looks like your feelings were hurt because you blocked a little old woman like me, a little girl like me. Big bad Deadpool, master troll. What happened, sis? But that's for my next video. Guys, make sure you subscribe. If you are not following me on X, you missed it last night. It was fun. We had a great time over there. We were dunking on Snow White. We were dunking on Ryan. And even his own trolls are defeated. They are just so sad and just crybaby. It is a beautiful sight to see. The links to my social media are below. Real Melanie King. If you're watching this on X, hello. But I am a YouTuber, so I always speak to my audience on YouTube, my road dogs over here. So let's get to it. Sorry, I just got to present this. So initial perception of the document. So this is talking about the 17-point document that that she had, that she presented, that she demanded when she, after the strike, that she demanded as her, for her to come back to work. This is these demands that she made would happen. No one said that any of these things happened. Blake Lively never alleged that any sexual harassment happened. A lot of people do not understand. This is not a sexual harassment lawsuit. She is not suing for sexual harassment. This is where people are confused. So when they say, but why aren't you believing all women? Believe what? She ended this film saying that nothing happened, that there was no sexual harassment. So what are you talking about? This is how I know people who are commenting and saying and defending her, they haven't even looked into this case. All right. So don't gaslight me. Don't play with me. You don't know what you're talking about. So Blake Lively initially portrayed the 17-point protections for return to work to production document as a noble effort. Let me move that little thing. As a noble effort to ensure a safe working environment for everyone on the set of It Ends With Us. She claimed it was a response to unsafe conditions following the guild strikes, likely the 2023 WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes, when all the actors went on strike, suggesting it was negotiated altruistically to the benefit of all cast and crew members. Right? So that's important to know. She was saying this was for everybody. In her amended complaint, she described it as a necessary measure due to Wayfair Studios' alleged failure to address complaints, framing it as a collective safety net with 17 provisions to curb misconduct and protect the production team. Now, what's important to note here with this whole thing is that there were no formal complaints filed, not to Sony, not to Wayfair, not to anyone, not to SAG-AFTRA, not a single soul. There are no complaints. These are just her saying that there are complaints when she comes back, and you're going to find out why. Revelation from Justin Baldoni's response. Justin Baldoni's legal response shattered this narrative by clarifying that the document wasn't a universal safety agreement, but a specific contract between It Ends With Us Movie LLC, the film's production entity, and Blake Inc., Lively's personal entertainment company. Baldoni's answer to allegation 16 in the lawsuit admits the document exists, and it's attached to Exhibit A in Lively's complaint, but denies it stemmed from formal complaints or was intended to force Wayfair to address. Sorry, guys, they're spelling it. It spelled it wrong when I did the thing. It was intended to force Wayfair to address misconduct by him or Jamie Heath. Instead, it was an additional agreement tied to Lively's return to work, designed to benefit her alone, exposing her public portrayal as misleading. And we're going to get into why it only was about her. It had no protections for anyone else of the cast and crew that was on that worked on this movie. She has framed it publicly that this was for everybody's safety, but every single point benefits her solely. All right. So just lying outright, even in her lawsuit and her amended complaint and everything else. But there's more. It gets crazy. Blake Inc.'s role. Blake Inc. is Blake Lively's entertainment company, where she is listed as the sole officer. It had been dormant for years, but was reinstated in 2023, coinciding with her involvement with It Ends With Us. Rather than contracting directly as an individual with Wayfair Studios or the film's LLC, Lively used Blake Inc. as a loan out company to provide her acting services. This setup positions her as an independent contractor, not an employee, which fundamentally alters her legal relationship with the production and the protections that she can claim under employment law. Contractual structure. Sorry if it's moving a little bit, guys. I made it big so you guys can see it better. Let me see if that helps at all. Okay. Contractual structure. Lively's agreement wasn't with Wayfair Studios, Baldoni's company, or directly with It Ends With Us LLC as an employee. Instead, Blake Inc. contracted her services to the film's LLC. That meant payments went to Blake Inc., not Lively personally, a common practice among actors for tax benefits, like deducting management, agent, and attorney fees directly from income. So a lot of actors do this because it gives them tax breaks. It benefits them, benefits their pockets essentially. However, California recently tightened laws on loan out companies, emphasizing that contractors aren't employees of the production company. This distinction means Wayfair and the film LLC weren't her employers, shifting her employment relationship to Blake Inc. and impacting her legal recourse. So she works under her own production company, that she revived, this Blake Inc. And she works for them. Wayfair in the movie, Justin Baldoni, just to simplify it, Justin Baldoni's side, the movie, contracted with Blake Inc. for her services. She has no employment relationship with Sony, with Wayfair, with anything associated with Justin Baldoni, and not even with It Ends With Us LLC, the movies LLC. She only has a relationship, employment relationship with her own company, which she's the only officer of. Okay. And this is where she shoots herself in the foot. Legal implications. As a contractor through Blake Inc., Lively cannot sue Wayfair or It Ends With Us LLC under employee-specific laws like Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which protects against workplace discrimination and harassment, or certain California labor laws. Her claims would need to arise from Blake Inc.'s contract with the LLC, not her personal status. This limits her to narrower protections, like California's Fair Employment and Housing Act, and excludes federal employment safeguards. Her complaints framing as an employee issue may thus be legally flawed, a potential technicality Baldoni's team could exploit. And it's not exploit, guys. This is the law. This is what she set up. This is how she wanted it. And I believe they know this, or maybe her team is just too dumb not to know this, or they thought they could skirt by, because Without a Crystal Ball says she was reading the response from Bryan Freedman, Justin Baldoni's attorney. And it was when they said that they were contracted with Blake Inc. And that just kept resonating with her. And then she had this light bulb moment that said she believes this is what they're going to use against her as their defense. And that this is the reason why Bryan Freedman did not he answered the complaint, but did not file anything, did not actually amend or file anything with it. So he just answered it. But one of the things he did not want to do, he said, that they have flaws in their case, but he doesn't want to show them where it is. He doesn't, if he had to break this down, and then they were able to then file an amendment or then file to dismiss, well, they could have included that and amended their lawsuit to fit that. But now they can't do another amendment, and they cannot file another motion to dismiss. So now that their stuff is out there and they have this fatal flaw from this entire lawsuit, he can now respond with this, and it's going to destroy her case. So this ties their hands completely. And this isn't just a technicality. This is the law. This is how it works. So I just want to make that clear, because I don't want to look like they're being tricky and it's just he got off on a technicality, because you know how they're going to run with that type of narrative. Absolutely not. Okay. So let's continue. The purpose of the 17-point document. Baldoni's response denies Lively's assertion that the protections to return to production address formal. Wait, did I start over, guys? Wait. It looked like I started. Okay, I didn't. I'm sorry. Baldoni's response denies Lively's assertion that the protections for return to production address formal complaints or Wayfair's failure to investigate misconduct. There was absolutely no allegations of misconduct that were ever made to anyone. None of the production companies, Sony, no one. Okay. So I just want to make that clear. There is no sexual harassment that has been alleged, that Blake Lively even accused anyone of. And I've got to make that clear, because a lot of people are confused. They actually think, like I said again, that this is a sexual harassment lawsuit, and it's not. He asserts it was an additional contract tied to a May 5th, 2023 actor agreement between It Ends With Us LLC and Blake Inc., outlining conditions for Lively's return post-strike, signed by Jamie Heath, not Wayfair, It focused on her acting services and granted her extensive control over production elements, including scenes and playback, contradicting her claim that it broadly protected the set. It was a strategic addendum, not an HR remedy. Control over production. The document's 17 provisions gave Lively significant power, including approving scenes involving intimacy or nudity, controlling access to dailies and playback, limited it to essential personnel that only she could approve. That means if she didn't think Justin Baldoni was essential, he could not be in the editing room. He could not view the playback. This is how she took control of the movie. This is one of the ways. This is how she took control of editing. Because she could just say he wasn't essential. So he can't be in here and he can't view it. And he's the director, the producer. He owns the rights to the movie. So going back, this gives her controlling access. Oh, let me see. Approving scenes with intimacy or nudity. So these are all the scenes that involve any type of kissing, any type of romance with her, and not just her, but Isabella Ferreira, the younger version of her, which is a large chunk of this movie. She controlled that entire thing, not just approving the scenes, but the script for those scenes, which is a huge chunk of this movie. Okay. So she's restricted. Then to keep going. So we have she controls the scenes. She approves the scenes and the script for the intimacy and nudity. Okay. She controls access to dailies and playback and limits it to essential personnel that she approves. Restricting physical interactions. No touching or comments unless script related. No touching or comments in general unless it's script related. It means no one can say anything to her unless it's script related, or they would violate this 17-point document. You know how insane that is in a work environment? Okay. And barring non-essential personnel from viewing sensitive footage. So this is another way that she can control the editing. They cannot, anything that involve kissing or intimacy, she could approve who could actually even be there when those things are filmed. And she controlled it. So on top of controlling it, the script and the scenes, then the playback, the footage of it, only she controlled who had access to that. Again, barring Justin Baldoni and Wayfair from that, their own movie. Let's continue. Other rules, like no one entering her trailer while undressed or requiring a representative, often her husband. So she required a representative on set, and it was usually Ryan Reynolds was her representative. And it catered exclusively to her comfort and authority. These terms effectively handed her creative and logistical dominance far beyond typical safety measures. If she had a real HR complaint, again, she doesn't even allege in this 17-point document any of these things have happened. She just demanded it. Just came into work and said, these are things that have to happen and it needs to be agreed to. But at no time does she say they happen, that Justin Baldoni did anything to her, that Jamie Heath did anything to her. She doesn't go through the HR channels, none of the proper channels. She just makes a demand in an effort to take control of a movie. If she had true HR complaints, if she had true sexual harassment, no one remedies sexual harassment by making a power move to take control of a movie. This is just unheard of. But this is how she essentially, the malice and blackmailed and extorted them out of this film. Okay. So her own actions have now destroyed her. But there's more. This is the crazy one. This is really, it's all crazy, but this is really crazy. Retaliation clause. Point 10 of the document prohibited retaliation against Lively for raising concerns, defining it broadly to include changes in attitude, sarcasm, marginalization, and other negative behavior. Huh? So, in her mind, what she laid out is retaliation on an entire film set, is if anyone has a change in attitude. She gets to decide if someone has a change in attitude. That's not even definable. Sarcasm. No one's allowed to be sarcastic about anything that she doesn't like, even if it's not directed at her. She could just deem it as sarcasm if she feels like it and take control. And they violate it. Marginalization. What does that even mean? There's no definition to that. Just what if she deems she's been marginalized in some way, that's retaliation. Or other negative behavior. What's negative to her? There's no scope of what would be negative. And this isn't even admissible. This is a moot point because there are no, this was something that was signed. This is supposed to be a legal contract. There are no measures of what any of this is other than her personal interpretation is whatever she decides it is, that's what it's going to be. Making everyone, Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath, walk on eggshells specifically, not being able to upset her, have to acquiesce to everything she says, or she's going to say, you got an attitude. There was a change in attitude. I'm being marginalized. What? The vague wording allowed her to interpret any disagreement or denial, editing disputes, or anything else as retaliatory, threatening legal action. Notably, the document never explicitly cites sexual harassment, suggesting it was less about misconduct and more about securing leverage. This clause could paralyze producers, as even a sarcastic tone might trigger a lawsuit, making it a powerful tool for control. Lack of HR process. Lively's team explicitly stated they'd forego a more full formal HR process if the document's protections were met, indicating no formal complaint was filed with Wayfair or the LLC. This waiver, coupled with her threat to pursue full legal rights if demands weren't met, suggests the document was a calculated move to bypass traditional grievance channels and impose her terms. It implies her goal was production control, not resolution of substantiated misconduct, weakening her later harassment claims. This is wild, guys. Misrepresentation. In her complaint, Lively claimed the document responded to Wayfair's inaction on her and others' complaints, ensuring a safe set. Baldoni counters this, denying any formal complaints existed or that the document addressed Wayfair's behavior. He ties this creation to her being denied access to dailies and a rough cut. Creative, not safety issues. Now, this ties back to when she wanted to see the dailies. She demanded that she sees the dailies. That is all of the footage from today, the raw footage, unedited. She wanted to be able to have access to those. When she was denied that, this is what she decided to do. This 17-point document so that she can get access to it, so that she can have control over it and the entire production and film. So it had nothing to do with sexual harassment. This only came about after she was denied having access to the dailies, the daily footage. Her portrayal of it as a selfless safety measure is undermined by her focus on her alone, suggesting she misrepresented its intent to gain public sympathy and justify her lawsuit. Legal strategy exposed. The document's terms, like requiring her approval for intimate scenes, controlling edits, and limiting access to footage, reveal a strategy to dominate the film's direction. By tying these to a safety narrative, she could threaten legal action if denied, leveraging Point 10's retaliation clause, that ridiculous clause that we just talked about. This control extended to other characters. That is Isabella scenes. Isabella Ferreira, the younger version of Lily Bloom, who in the movie. So this was the younger version of Blake Lively, even though Isabella Ferreira should have been Lily Bloom because she's only like 22, 23, and Blake is, reaching mid-century level. She's entering, she's auntie status, okay? And I'm 43, so I'm not, I have no shame about my age. I don't care. But what I'm saying here is they cast a late 30s, almost 40, middle-aged woman to play an early 20s something, and it makes no sense. So it should have been Isabella Ferreira in that in the first place, but I digress. That was their fault for casting her in this entire production. So this gave her this control extended to other characters, Isabella's, and that includes Isabella's scenes, giving her script and editing power disproportionate to her contractor role. She was contracted as an actor. It appears she weaponized alleged concerns to override Baldoni's authority, not to address a hostile environment. Again, there are no HR complaints anywhere. Baldoni's defense. Baldoni's legal stance rests on 3 pillars. The agreement was between It Ends With Us LLC and Blake Inc., not Lively personally, distancing her from employee claims. She could not file under California's CRD, Civil Rights Department. She could not file there, guys. So we don't even care about the CRD complaint. And actually, in my next video, I'm going to say that she actually didn't even finish going through doing that properly, but it doesn't count anyway. She waived her right to sue by completing the film without issue post-contract, implying satisfaction with its terms. That was part of it, that if the film finished, she acknowledged that there were no problems on the film after the 17-point thing. She never alleged that there were problems before the 17-point document, but then when the film wrapped, she said that we finished production with absolutely no problems, and that waived her right to sue Justin Baldoni and Wayfair. She acted with unclean hands, using the document as extortion, promising not to sue if demands were met, then suing anyway, potentially barring her claims. His team argues that this was a bait and switch, exploiting the contract for leverage. And this is why when Bryan Freedman, I believe he's going to file a motion to dismiss her entire lawsuit. And only his against her and Ryan, and everyone else will be left. If I was in church, Lord, Bryan Freedman, oh, if I could afford you, boy, you would be on speed dial daily. Please give alms to the poor. Just let a girl hire you. I pay you what I can just to protect me. This man is wonderful. He is brilliant. Okay, because I believe this is the move that he's making. Whew. Potential court outcome. Baldoni's choice to answer the complaint, not move to dismiss, locks Lively into her current filing. So yeah, sorry, he doesn't file to dismiss. I don't know if he still will, or this is just a defense for the entire lawsuit. So I need clarification on that. Again, I said some of these things are above my pay grade. All right. So Baldoni's choice to answer the complaint, not to move to dismiss, locks Lively into her current filing per attorney Bryan Freedman's strategy, preventing amendments to fix errors, suing as an individual and not Blake Inc. Her waiver, promissory estoppel, promising not to sue if terms were met, and unclean hands could convince a judge to dismiss her case. And most likely it will, because she has no legal standing. If the court sees the document as self-serving and her completion of the film as a waiver, which that language is there, her retaliation claim may collapse. However, if she proves actual misconduct outside the contract, she might prevail, though her contractor status limits her legal avenues. So, in the tiny percentage chance that doesn't happen, even if she tried to do anything else, the way she was contracted for this movie, she has no recourse. This was amazing, guys. So let's just finish up. Weakness in Lively's case. Lively's retaliation claim hinges on the document, but her contractor status excludes her from Title VII and broad California protections. Bye-bye, CRD. Requiring Blake Inc. to sue. Hey, hush, puppy. Sorry, guys. I had to grab my dragon. This is, Khaleesi, ghetto Khaleesi, plantation Khaleesi has her dragons, and this is mine. Here we go. I'm sorry, guys. I got to redo it. So Lively's retaliation claim hinges on the document, but her contractor status excludes her from Title VII and broad California protections, requiring Blake Inc. to sue, not her personally. No federal right to sue letter was filed, likely because she's not an employee. She has no protections under federal law. And her California filing may falter if misfiled, which it was. Wow, this is crazy. The documents focus on her alone, lack of HR complaints, and a completion of the project undermine her narrative of widespread misconduct, making retaliation her only viable angle, yet one weakened by her own waivers and inconsistencies. Guys, let me know what you think. Again, I will link Without a Crystal Ball's original video. I'll try to remember to do it as well on X, but I definitely in the description box, and I'll probably make it the pinned comment to this video on YouTube. But you have to hear her break it down. She does it beautifully. I'm just reading it kind of as bullet point as I was able to format this and put it together. But to hear her talk about it, she expands upon it more than what I do. You're going to want to listen to that. Let me know what you think about this. And do you think this is Bryan Freedman's strategy? Do you guys think it is? Make sure you share this with someone, especially people who have been misinformed, and especially to the lioness media who wants to keep both siding this and thinking that we're dumb, or especially people who are saying, believe all women because she was born with a vagina, like we were, like I was, which makes no sense. And with that, me and Justice Dragon will see you on the next one. You ready? You ready?